Well, hello and welcome to West Wales and welcome to my local woodland. If we've not met, my name is Becca and this is, I think, my weekly vlog. I think that's what I'm calling it. I don't know, I change my mind all the time. Anyway, I'm out with a little dog walking in the woodland. It's very hot and humid, it's rained overnight, it's really warm and yeah, kind of really feeling the humidity. Anyway, I'll just turn you around, show you where we are. So it is looking quite jungle-like in here, and we're the middle of August and it won't be long before the season begins to change, but at the moment it's just looking very lush and green, and we've had some fabulous weather. I mean, it's been just glorious. So this is where we are for this morning's walk. And try not to knock myself on the head. And we're close to Lower Town Fishguard. And hang on, let me just turn the camera around. So the plan is just to pop into Fishguard, and I want to try and find a couple of things in the charity shops. If I can't, I'm going to have to order them online, but I want to check the charity shops first. And there's a very specific reason for that, because in a couple of weeks' time, it's my birthday, and Andrew has bought me something which I've wanted for, well, the longest time, and I don't quite know why we never got round to getting it. But anyway, he's bought it for me, it's arrived, but there's something I need to go with it that I think I might be able to find in the charity shops. So I'm going to carry on with my walk, and then we'll just go on a little charity shop scout. Well, I didn't find what I want, so I'm popping into Tesco's, and then I'm going to go down the A40 to Letterston to the big charity shop and just see if there's anything there. So I didn't actually find what I was looking for in the charity shop. I found a couple of things, quite useful, but not what I was looking for to go with my present. So I'll just drop in what I found, and then I think it's time to show you what my present is. So I've got my charity shop find, which is a lovely casserole dish, £4, and it's going to be perfect for putting the curry in tonight. And the other thing was a garden kneeler. That was £1, and I do actually really need one. So not very many finds, but excellent finds. Looking at this box, I think I'm going to need a second pair of hands to put this lot together. That was a couple of days ago, and as you can tell, nothing to do with fibre arts. They are for a project that Andrew and I have wanted to do for the longest time, and that is make our own cider. And I think if you're in the States, you would call cider hard cider, I think, because it's the alcoholic drink cider. And yeah, I haven't had enough apples to do it before, and we have lots of apples and they are a good variety for making cider. Plus there are are lots of what I call feral apples, because there are quite a lot of garden escapees, as in apple trees that are growing out in the wild, and you know, you can just go and pick them. They don't belong to anybody, so I've got lots of those to pick as well. So we're going to have a go at making cider. And the thing I was looking for in the charity shop was the fermentation jars, the demi-johns. And you do quite often find them in charity shops. I didn't find any, and I have been looking out for a little while. So I bought them. They weren't very much, and just bought them on Amazon, and they come with a sort of fermentation lock and a siphon as well. So we are going to be all set up, ready to do some cider making over the weekend. So we had a very busy kind of weekend and early part of this week. Had Andrew's sister and their mutual school friend came down with their little dog, and we sort of went off on adventures. And I did say I might film some of them, and I sort of did, but they were all places we'd been before, and I think they're on the channel, so I just kind of thought, oh well, you know, it's kind of, you don't need to see the same thing again. But what we did do was spot something that I've not spotted before, and that was she's completely forgotten what it's called. Come on, brain, work. What was it called? Marsh Sapphire. There you go, Marsh Sapphire. So I'll just kind of drop a little picture in of the Marsh Sapphire. And it's not good this time of the year because it starts to flower, it goes a bit woody. But at the beginning of the summer, then it's really, really good, really tasty, excellent with fish. And when we used to have the farmer's market, then we used to pick it because we had a wild food store, as well as selling our bacon and our sausages from our woodland pigs. We also did wild food, so we would forage and sell the foraged food as well, and samphire was one of the things that we sold. So it was really good to find some of that, and we will definitely kind of go back and pick some. Oh, if I'm yes, I will. So I was about to say, if I'm still making YouTube videos, I'll share it. Yeah, of course I'm going to be making YouTube videos. I'm utterly addicted. I love making YouTube videos. Yes, so it was good. And we also went to Picton Castle, and again I did think about maybe showing you kind of looking around Picton Castle and the gardens, but actually was kind of enjoying walking around the garden, and I sort of forgot to start filming, and then once we were halfway around it didn't really make sense to film, so I just kind of thought, oh, we're going to come back in the autumn. I'll try and make a video coming back in the autumn. So what have I got to do today? Well, in here is the very last bit of the Gotland that I have been slowly working on for about 12 months, which is kind of, you know, my sort of pace. I like to work slowly. So I'm going to hand pick and just hand card with my knot wool combs, with my honey uncapping combs that I've shown before, and I will put a link in the description. So if you would like some, you can get them. I mean, it's just on Amazon, it's fine. So yeah, I'm very near the end of it, and what I have been working on is finishing, hang on, she says, hang on a moment. Sorry, you were on top of my wrap. So this wrap, which is nearly finished, and once I finally spin up, well, comb and spin up the last of the Gotland, I will finish it. And it is from, what date? Landscape magazine, July 2023. So I have looked to try and see if it was on Ravelry, if it was on the designer's website, and the only place it's published is here. I'm pretty sure you can get back copies. Again, I will put a link into Landscape magazine so you can find that, and I mean, they might not, you know, I don't know, they might not have back issues, but I'll put it in there anyway, so you can kind of have a look and see if they've still got back copies available of it. So the other thing I've done in the last couple of days is actually finally finish my August newsletter. So that went out, when did that go out? This morning? Yes, that went out this morning, and I attached a copy of this knitting pattern. It's a vintage knitting pattern, sort of 1980s. It's a British knitting pattern, so it is written in kind of British knitting terms. I like it because it's got kind of colour work, which means that you've got lots of opportunity to use up little bits and pieces of hand spun. If you're going to knit it, you absolutely must do a swatch, because this is designed for Aran weight, and you know, when we're doing our hand spun, we don't necessarily always get gauge, so it is always worth doing a proper tension square, and don't just rely on your wraps per inch, because they can be a little bit off sometimes. So really make sure you actually knit up a proper big tension square, and don't just do 4 inches, actually do 8 inches, so you're getting it correctly across the whole amount. And I know that seems like a lot of work, but trust me, it really does make a huge difference, because you can then adjust your gauge, so you can either go up or down a needle size, or you know, kind of alter the pattern so that you know you're going to get the right gauge for your personal hand spun, which seems like a really long-winded way of saying knit yourself a tension square. So I had considered actually ironing and talking, which I have done in the past because I have an enormous pile of ironing to do, but when I iron and talk, because I have done it in the past, what I find is I'm looking down because I'm doing my ironing, when actually I should be looking up at you. Otherwise I feel a bit rude. So I'm not doing the ironing, and I don't actually know how much of this I'm going to get done. So Kiwi friend of the channel, NZNZ, did ask whether I was going to do a knit along. I'm always very loath to do knit alongs, just because I blow hot and cold with Instagram and with Ravelry, so I can go like months and months and months without posting anything. And I think if you're going to do a knit along, you sort of have to have that community element to it. So I think the answer is no, I'm not going to do a knit along. It's a really good idea, and if I was more engaged with social media, then I probably would. But as I have kind of said on many occasions, really YouTube is just kind of a hobby. I mean, yeah, I mean it is really. And if I'm doing a knit along, it'll kind of force me into doing things that I don't really want to do. I just, at the moment, I'm kind of off Instagram at the moment. I haven't deleted my account. I'm just not on there. I'm not even scrolling on there. So I think I like the idea, but I think I'm not going to do it. So as ever, just drop in the comments, what are you working on and what have you been doing over the last week? I have been thinking about what I actually haven't got done since I've been suffering with this cold, and I still am a bit croaky and I still am feeling a little bit fatigued. It has been a real pig of a cold, and I sort of thought, oh my goodness, I've got COVID, but I did a COVID test and no, it wasn't COVID, it's just a pig of a cold. And there seems to be a lot of it going about. My neighbour's got one, she sort of started with one kind of about a week after me, and I had told her that I had a cold, so we'd kind of quite often chat over the fence. So we made sure we were social distancing over the fence so that I was not getting too close to her and kind of giving her my lurgy. But I think she got it anyway, and I think probably just, you know, kind of going to the shops in town and things, I expect that's where she got it. So Andrew did also get a cold off me. Nowhere near as bad as me, which is good, but I am quite susceptible to these colds. Always have been, you know, since I was a kid. I don't get ill in any other way, but when I get a cold, yeah, I get it big time. So we've got a very humid day again today, and it was bright sunshine, particularly up on our little hill this morning, but I took Millie Dog down for a walk down at sea level, and the sea mist had just started to roll in. And what's happened, and I'm just looking at the window over there that you can't see, but what's happened is the sea mist has come in and it's even up at our level. And normally we don't get it up here. Normally when the sea mist comes in, so it'll be kind of hanging about down in the valley, and then up on the hill where we are, it will be in the bright sunshine. But I think there's quite a lot of mist today and it's come all the way up. So yeah, so it does quite often happen this time of the year, just because you've got those very high temperatures, you've got the sea, and obviously the mist rises off the sea. And I hate to say it, but we are getting towards the end of summer. So the things I need to get done over the next couple of weeks are, I need to just finish off extracting honey. So we've got a hive that has nearly got a whole super ready, and what I will do is I'll wait until just before the ivy comes into blossom. And I know you kind of think, ivy blossom? Well, yes it does, because that's the really good source of overwintering honey for the bees. So I will make sure they've got an empty super for the ivy honey, which will be their honey to keep them going over the winter, because we do prefer not to feed them. If you are a commercial beekeeper, then quite often you do actually feed your bees with kind of sugar solutions, or quite often fondant, which is like, you know, the way fondant icing is not fondant icing, but that sort of texture. And so we prefer not to do that. So we will make sure that they have got an entire super of honey for themselves. So if that means that we don't take off any summer honey, then we don't take off any summer honey. It is just the way it goes. And I guess that's the difference between doing something as a hobby and doing it commercially, isn't it? In the comments of my last video, I had a question about keeping naughty little clothes moth at bay, and I have a short answer as to how I do it, but there's also a much longer answer, and I think I'm actually going to make a video on it, because I think it's something we all have to think about as people who have a lot of wool in our lives. I mean, clothes moths don't just eat wool, they do eat other things as well, but they particularly go for wool. That is their preferred kind of fibre. So I think that will be a video probably next week. I mean, it'll be a shorter video, it won't be a long kind of chatty video, but it's yeah, so I think that would be a good one to make. Now the other thing I want to get back to is actually a bit more spinning. I seem not to have done very much spinning on the channel recently, and I never spin as much in the summer as I do in the autumn. It is absolutely kind of when my whole being switches on to kind of spinning mode. And I mean, I do spin in the summer, clearly, because I have been spinning all summer, but I spin more in the autumn, actually more than I do in the winter. So I've got various things that I want to carry on with, and obviously I bought a box of goodies back, can't remember when I bought it, before I got the dreaded lurgy, and I've got nettle fibre to have an experiment with, I've got some cotton to have an experiment with, and also I want to do some more with the alpaca. I want to do a blended alpaca spin next, and on my last alpaca video there's a very nice lady whose name has just gone out of my head, who wrote the most brilliant, I mean, it's like a blog post, but fantastic instructions on how to actually spin alpaca. And I will link that somewhere in the description below, I guess. And if you are kind of wanting to know even more about alpaca than sort of what I put in the video, then look down the comments and there is a wealth of information. I'm always so grateful when people to kind of leave really great comments, because as I always say, although I've been spinning a long time, I spun a lot of the same type of stuff. So, you know, I am not the fount of all knowledge when it comes to spinning. I mean, yes, I know a certain amount, of course I do, because I've been hand spinning for 20 years, but I really hadn't spun any alpaca for, I think 15 years, as I said in the video. So I will link that one in the description so you can go back and have a look at that if you haven't seen it. And then I think coming up on my list of videos to make is actually doing a blended alpaca yarn that's going to be for socks. So I've just had a look at the time on this video and it's getting really long again, because that seems to be, you know, I just kind of waffle on. I'll edit some of it out because some of it is just total nonsense. But yeah, so it's getting a bit long, so I guess it's probably time to say goodbye. And I was thinking this was going to go out on Sunday, but actually I think I'll try and make that moth video for Sunday. I can't make any promises because, you know, stuff happens. And also, as soon as the demijohns arrive, we're actually going to make our cider. If you want me to put the kind of cider making on the channel, then I will. I had sort of thought that I was going to do a second channel that was kind of all the gardening and the kind of the other handmade stuff. But, you know, I think for a lot of us who are hand makers, if we hand spin, we probably do other things as well. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. You know, it's like the kind of on our staycation video. I did record stuff, but it was a bit kind of mishy-mashy, and I thought, well, you've seen most of this before because I've done it before. So I didn't actually kind of make a video out of it. And I think that's because I found it boring. So I thought, well, if I'm finding this video boring, you're going to find it really boring. Anyway, right, that's enough waffling, and I will see you really soon. And yeah, I think it will be the keeping the clothes moths, I can't even say that, keeping clothes moth out of your wool stash and your woolen clothes. So until next time, may your needles be swift and your yarns be soft.